talking about empaths, the traits of being an empath and what we can do to protect ourselves, because as an empath, you are going to be a magnet for somebody who is like an energy vampire or a narcissist. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you some tips that you can follow to help you stay more secure and within your boundaries as you move forward. So empaths are highly sensitive creatures who have the ability to feel and absorb the energies of others, and then we take them on as they're our own. So the number one trait that empaths have to deal with that makes it very difficult to navigate the world, even though it's a wonderful quality, but it can feel like a curse. It's the fact that you are so highly sensitive, and that when you are around somebody, you're picking up on their energy. It's difficult for an empath to intellectualize emotions, to think about emotions, because they come into this world just feeling. So the way we interpret the world is through the feeling space. And it takes us time to learn how to think about the way we feel. But because we come into this world feeling, when we meet someone like a narcissist, we feel what they feel. And we might feel their shame. We might feel their sorrow. We might feel their emptiness. And we go right into absorbing these energies, and we want to go in there and fix it. We want to help them. The second trait of an empath is that we are highly giving and highly forgiving. And so we look past how we have a difficult time experiencing what someone has done to us. We get very easily wounded, yes, but far too often what an empath will do is think about why this person hurt us, right? And then we think about how they feel, and we make excuses for why they hurt us. We are very giving naturally, but another quality that we have that makes us a target for narcissists is that we're forgiving. And so we're somebody who isn't as highly sensitive as we are, somebody who doesn't take on other people's feelings. Their boundaries are more defined, and they won't tolerate what an empath might tolerate. So empaths prefer the one-to-one conversation. They prefer being alone with someone. They prefer not being around a lot of people. And so when it comes to a narcissist who might be grooming their next victim, an empath who wants to connect deeply and who prefers to stay away from a lot of people, this empath becomes a target for a narcissist who wants to isolate, abuse, and confuse somebody who is highly sensitive like an empath. So the fact that an empath prefers to be alone makes them more susceptible to being abused by a narcissist, because that's what a narcissist wants to do. It's so much easier to exploit someone when they're dealing with somebody who prefers to stay alone. Now, the reason we need to pay attention to this is because we are constantly receiving the energies of people around us, which means that our battery is going to get drained more quickly than someone else. So we need to recharge. But the reason we need to recharge in a lot of the cases, if we've attracted a narcissist or a taker into our life or a manipulative person, is because we're constantly getting drained. So if you're somebody who feels like, exasperated, and you're looking around your life and, you're feeling the emotions of other people, and you have chronic fatigue syndrome and headaches and GI issues and your neck hurts, it might be because you are taking on the energies of people, and the people that you're in the relationship with are not offering you energy back. So by nature, empaths are super nurturing. And so when it comes to being involved with a narcissist, this is the perfect person for a narcissist. Somebody who is going to cater to their needs, somebody who's going to nurture them. So when they come home brooding, when they're in a negative mood, an empath will not only absorb these feelings, but they'll want to rush in and fix it and make the narcissist feel better. So the sixth quality. Now, empaths have in my opinion, heightened sensory system. And so we're constantly pulling in information from our five senses, but we have a highly sixth sense, if you will, this intuitive sense. And so we're being bombarded by energies. And so if you're an empath, loud noises might bother you, certain smells might bother you. things, certain sounds might irritate you where other people like, that doesn't bother me at all. You might hear things that other people don't hear. And this all goes back to you being obviously a highly attuned and highly sensitive creature. Now, the reason this is important to pay attention to if you're an empath is because you have to know that your senses might be overloaded, right? So empaths feel at home in nature. We feel energized or re-energized when we are around trees, when we're around water, when we are connecting to the sky, when we are thinking about Mother Earth. We have a very strong connection to nature. And when we are in relationships with narcissists, sometimes we can forget to ground ourselves. We can forget what used to make us happy. And if an empath is in a relationship with a narcissist, don't be surprised if the narcissist does everything they can to make sure that you do not ground yourself. So the next quality is this idea that many empaths can relate to attracting narcissists into their life. And there are some people that say that there's no such thing as an empath, but I think that if you're an empath and you know what it feels like to walk into a room and feel the emotions of other people and like want to run out screaming because you're so overwhelmed, and you're looking at other people like they don't get you and like, why are you so sensitive? You can't help it when you're born that way. This is just the way you were born. But I can tell you as an empath myself that the empaths that I've met in my life, we have one thing in common, and we've all attracted at least one narcissist into our life where we went right into forgiving mode and empathy mode. And it's a quality that a lot of empaths share. And all of these beautiful, sensitive qualities that make us nurturing get exploited by people who absolutely demand that they stay the center of our lives. An empath will think, oh, this troubled person just has never felt loved enough, or oh, this troubled person had a bad relationship with their mother, a bad relationship with their father, or, oh, it's not their fault that, they got into trouble with drinking. That's because they're in so much pain. So empaths will see the problem. They'll want to help fix the person. And then they go into rationalizing poor behavior. And a lot of us actually do think that if I just love this person enough, this person will change, but that doesn't happen. If you're an empath, like I said earlier, you may experience physical symptoms like neck pain. You're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're just processing all this emotion you're feeling. You're pulling it in, right? You worry about the planet. You worry about animals. You worry about people in the world that aren't, able to take care of themselves. And this is literally being pulled into you. And this feeling of helplessness and powerlessness can really take over. When we don't know that we're an empath and we're experiencing these physical symptoms, we're not aware that, our chakras are being weakened by this bombardment of energy. And we can develop GI issues because the solar plexus is where we process or pull in emotions. And so when we aren't able to ground, and worse, when you don't know that you're an empath and you don't understand the benefit of setting boundaries and grounding and taking care of yourself and figuring out where you begin and where other people end and all that stuff, when you don't even know that you're an empath, you're pulling in all of this energy and it can weaken your chakra system. The other thing that gets us into trouble is because we're not used to thinking about the way we feel, we just feel. We come into, the best way I can describe it, and I tried to describe it to like my parents a long time ago, but they never got it. I couldn't help that I came into the world a feeling person, that I looked at someone and I felt something, that, when I saw my parents, talking, I felt the energy. When I saw my mother's face change, I felt her disappointment. I felt her sadness. I felt her grief, right? Which made being rejected by her like terribly, terribly wounding, because I could feel my mother's unhappiness and sadness inside her relationship with my father, but yet she was so unrecovered as the adult child of an alcoholic, and she had all of her own issues. She wasn't able to be nurturing back towards me. But yet I had all this empathy and all this nurturing of my mother, and I just wanted her to feel better. And so my immune system was terribly, terribly compromised because I was taking in all of this energy, and I was just overwhelmed, and I didn't know how to think about the way that I was feeling. And that's why I ended up with so many physical symptoms. One of the most prevalent feelings that we feel as an empath is that we don't know why, but we feel born to take care of people. We fight for the underdog. We will stick up for people who are being bullied. Even if we're being bullied, like we're being bullied and we're taking care of people who are being bullied. It's just we don't know why we feel this way. And we know people who don't feel this way, who get up and go to work and focus on themselves and lead pretty happy lives without worrying about, starving children, or without worrying about the woman who came into work with the black eye and she's dating somebody who is abusive. Like, we will stay up all night ruminating about people that we wish that we could help, that we feel are being bullied. What we have to understand about the empath-narcissist relationship is that if you have these traits, you must take care of yourself, because you are a target in society for predator-type personalities who will exploit you. Now, narcissism runs on a spectrum, right? So there are narcissists that don't know that they're narcissists, and then there are narcissists who understand that, oh, if I do this, she does that, right? And then there's the narcissist who absolutely will groom you, the covert narcissist, the pathological narcissist that will groom you, that knows exactly what he or she is doing and delights in the whole game of drawing you in and milking you of your strength and your power. So if you're an empath, if these traits resonate with you, it's very, very important that you understand that in terms of energy vampires and narcissists, you are a prime candidate for being abused inside relationship dynamics, not only in romantic relationships, but just relationships with friends, relationships with siblings, relationships with your parents. So it's important that you learn a few things. Number one, define yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to ask yourself questions like, who am I? What do I want? What are my dreams? What are my goals? What do I feel? Where do I want to take my life? What does my future self look like? What are my absolute musts in life? What are my career goals? What are my financial goals? What legacy do I want to leave here on planet Earth? I think that's a really important one. When you don't define your purpose, then you are subject to the purposes of other people. And so it's really, really important that you begin to pull back and start asking yourself, personal development questions about what gives you self-worth, what are the things that you want to do, and really hone in on yourself. Another thing that you can do as an empath is to go back into your childhood and ask yourself if there's anything in your childhood that you need to heal. You don't want to leave any stone unturned. So do you need inner child healing? Do you suffer from some codependency symptoms? Do you suffer from narcissistic abuse? Do you suffer from childhood emotional neglect? Do you suffer from addictions? Empaths tend to, we can fall into addictions because we have so many emotions that we're dealing with and we don't know how to process them cognitively. We're just overwhelmed by them. We don't know how to block and ground ourselves. And so to deal with these emotions, we can fall into addictions. So do you have any active addictions that you need to think about and tend to? Another thing that we must do as empaths is we must train ourselves to be more present each and every moment. Life is changing quickly. And because we have come into this world with extra sensory, the ability to be extra sensitive, right? We have to know that we're going to see things and pick up on things that other people aren't. We're going to know things and people are going to say, how do you know that? And then they're going to accuse you of making stuff up. Or someone's talking to you and you know that they're lying. You just sense that they're full of crap. And, you tell your friend that I think she's lying, and your friend's like, you have no evidence of that, but there's a knowing inside of you and you can't explain it. So, but we have to pay attention to this idea that we're constantly being bombarded with information, and that's why we can't lose the self. It's wonderful when you gain control over yourself and you learn to be more present through mindfulness meditations. That's awesome. Body scan meditations and just slowing down the mental field. I have to slow down the mental field about 3 times a day. That's my goal. If I can do it 5 times a day, that's amazing. But I'm constantly processing information. When I do a live event, I can become drained because I'm having a live event and I'm picking up on all the energies of the people in the audience, And, it's very easy for me to get drained. So what I have to do is before a live event, I have to prepare myself and I have to stay in the moment, and I have to really, really, really pay attention to where I begin and where the other person begins, because it's way too easy for me to take on other people's stuff. So learning to be more present is a tool that you can use to help you avoid being a target for a narcissist. You must take you into the future. So once you work on who you are, you heal if you need to heal some inner child wounds, if that's where you're going, if you feel that you need to do that. And as you begin to up your level of self-awareness and you become more present, what you want to do is you want to stay tethered to your own soul and know that you're bringing all of this into the relationship. Because what we end up doing as empaths is we become what the other person needs naturally. So we don't have any borders. We just become and feel everything the other person is feeling, and then we end up managing the other person's emotions, and then we disappear, right? And so it's really, really important that as you define yourself, you begin to bring you into conversations, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a relationship with your parents. You have to be more connected to you. Before you go into future relationships, hold back a little bit. Give these relationships time to blossom. If you see yourself jumping in to fix something and you don't even know if this person is worth your time, right? Manage that, pull it back. Don't be so willing to give yourself up right away, right? When you're having a conversation with someone, they're telling you about their problems, ask them questions like, oh, well, how do you think you'll handle that? And, oh, what's the course of action for that? What do you think you're going to do next? So it's sort of like an empath is bouncing back instead of, oh, I could fix that for you, or I can take that on for you, right? The empath is saying, what are you going to do about it? So that will help you define a boundary between them and you. I think one of the most important things that we can do is to make sure that we know what our needs are, we know who we are, and if we don't, we work on asking ourselves every day a little bit more, who am I, what do I need? And how have my empathic qualities gotten me into trouble, and what do I need to pay attention to in the future? Really make a list. How have I ignored myself in the past, and how can I show up my true self, take care of myself, and not allow my empathy for others to take over to the point where I'm ignoring my needs and caring more about the other person than I do myself. So in the future relationship, you must know who you are, and you must be willing to talk about what you need, and you must be willing to understand that being in a relationship is a two-way street. That if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, then it's a joint venture. So you care about their needs, but they must care about your needs. It's important that those of us who are highly sensitive and highly empathic and who identify as empaths, that we recognize the need for boundaries. We recognize the need to be alone. We recognize the need to not jump in all the time. And we recognize the need to tell people what we really think, what we really feel, and what we really need. And what we're looking for are people who have empathy for us in return. And if they don't, that is a huge red flag, because your empathy is a gift. But you need to find somebody who also has high empathy, because otherwise you might be in trouble. My name is Lisa Romano. I'm the Breakthrough Life Coach, and I'm an expert in the field of codependency and recovering from narcissistic abuse. I'm also a best-selling author and the creator of the 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program. And I am honored you are here. I am honored you're a part of this channel. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can be entered to win many of the free gifts we give away each month, and especially a year-long membership to my Breakthrough Warrior membership site. Namaste, dear ones. Until next time. Bye for now.